Zoom, internet. He, the service building yesterday he came and installed internet. इधर नहीं आ wireless Wi-Fi. Yesterday, IT devotee, IT person came and today start करो. Okay. जन्माष्टमी के पहले आ गए. जन्माष्टमी के पहले आ गए. शुद्ध चित्त प्रभु. Start. Okay. Audio there. Okay. Hare Krishna. We'll begin with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवतीर्वुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So I would like to offer my obeisances to all the devotees who have assembled for this Bhakti Vedanta class. Very happy to meet all of you again through the medium of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I hope and pray that going through this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam will elevate all of us, all of you and myself, come close to Krishna and come close to the Guru Parampara. With this prayer, we will begin this 10th canto, 3rd chapter. So, 11th canto, 3rd chapter. 11th canto, there is some echo like that. That's all right. So, 11th canto, chapter 2 to chapter 5, we have the Navayogendra Samvad, the conversation between Nimi Maharaj and the Navayogendras. Nimi Maharaj asks one question to each of the Navayogendras. Navayogendras are answering. So today we'll begin the 3rd chapter. So our aim is to complete this till chapter 5 in this 5 days. Let us see how much we can go. Somebody can repeat. Shri Rajo Vacha Parasya Vishnu Rishasya Mayinam api Mohinim Mayam Veditum Ichhamo Bhagavanto Bruvantu Naha. Somebody read.
King Nimi said, "Now we wish to learn about the illusory potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Vishnu, which bewilders even great mystics. My Lord, please speak to us about this subject."
So Nimi Maharaj is asking this question to the Antariksha. Now we wish to learn the illusory potency. Mayam Veditum Ichhamaha. Of the Supreme Lord, Ishasya Vishnoho Parasya. Illusory potency of the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu. And what is the nature of this illusory potency? Mayinam api mohinim. So these words are very important words in the shloka. The illusory potency which bewilders even the great mystics. Mayinam api mohinim. Bhagavanto Bruvantu Naha. Please speak to us about this subject. So, Sridhar Swami explains that the illusory manner, in this chapter, the sons of Rishabhadev will speak about the illusory energy and the means for crossing beyond the illusory energy, the characteristics of the Supreme Lord, and the prescribed duties for the human beings. So the connection from the previous chapter is that in the previous chapter, 48th shloka, it was mentioned that Vishnur Mayam Idam Pashyan. A devotee should see that the entire world is made of the illusory potency of the Lord. So King Nimi is taking the clue from that particular shloka and then raising this particular question. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that all the devatas and the human beings, not only the human beings, even the devatas are driven by the desires for sense gratification, or some people are focused on researching about the material knowledge. So many people do PhD on various types of subject matters. Some subject matters are so peculiar, which we can't even imagine. Like one devotee said that one person did PhD on the romantic relation of the monkeys, the difference between the monkeys in North India and South India, something like that. So that such kind of peculiar this also. So the subtle celestial senses of the demigods and the gross senses of the human beings are all busy in ascertaining the measurements of material sense objects. So to understand fully the actual nature of Maya, which causes the conditioned souls to become averse to Krishna consciousness, King Nimi is inquiring from Antariksha, another Navayogendras. So if we see in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, Markandeya Rishi also asks a similar question, but there is a fine difference. Markandeya Rishi asks the question that I want to see your illusory potency. But here Nimi Maharaj is saying that I want to learn about your illusory potency. So there he wanted to see or experience the illusory potency. So that question falls in the category of idle curiosity. And Markandeya Rishi had to pay a heavy price for it. But here Nimi Maharaj is saying that I want to learn about the illusory potency. And if we see here, Mayinam api mohinim, this illusory potency bewilders even the great learned people, great mystics. So there is a shloka in the 5th canto. In the 5th canto, the prayers offered by the residents of Bhadrashva Varsha. So they say a beautiful prayer which is related to the word Mayinam api mohinim. Aho vichitram bhagavat vicheshtitam gnantam janoyam hi mishanna pashyati dhyayan asadyarhi vikarma sevitum nirhritya putram pitaram jijivishati. How wonderful it is that the foolish materialist does not heed the great danger of impending death. He is very careless and neglectful towards the death. Although he sees that the father dies, but he wants to enjoy the property left over by the father. Or he wants to enjoy his son's possessions as well, if the son dies. And further he says that Vadanti Vishwam Kavayasma Nashmaram Pashyanti Chadyatma Vido Vipaschitaha Tathapi Mukhyanti Tavaja Mayaya Suvismitam Krityamajam Natosmitam. So not only the materialistic people are bewildered about the Maya, but even the Adhyatma Vida, Vedic scholars, those who know that the material world is perishable, Kavayosma Nashwaram, even they also get bewildered. So in trance, they realize the factual position of the world and they even preach about the truth. But even they sometimes are bewildered by your Maya. And this is your wonderful pastime. Suvismitam Krityam Ajam Natosmitam. Suvismitam, it is greatly astonishing. So therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you. So we see that the Upanishad mentions that Vidyam cha avidyam cha yas tadvedo ubayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya mritam. One should know Vidya and Avidya side by side in order to enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So, even Prabhupada writes in a purport in Bhagavad Gita, sometimes a living entity is indulging in sense enjoyment, and that he gets a feeling of happiness. But this feeling of happiness is the greatest enemy of the living entity, because that binds a person to the material world. So here Nimi Maharaj wants to learn about the illusory potency. Even in a sports match, there was some famous tennis players were there. Andre Agassi and Boris Becker. Andre Agassi, he wrote a book about his life. He had written, he was defeated many times by Boris Becker. But at certain point, he started defeating Boris Becker in every encounter. So he writes that I was getting defeated by him consistently. Then I decided to study his way of actually playing very minutely. So then Andre Agassi started studying very minutely. He saw the videos, and then he saw that he noticed one thing. Because in a tennis, one of the important factors is the way they serve the ball. That becomes one of the most important factors. He saw that the Boris Becker had a peculiar habit. When he decides to serve the ball in the left side, he would bring the tongue, and then he would bring the tongue in the left side. And when he would decide to serve the ball in the right side, he would bring the tongue in the right side before serving. So then accordingly, he prepared himself to face the ball. So in the sense, even in the ordinary sports, they study the opponent's weak point and strengths. So Shastras also talk about how the material energy works. Therefore, Nimi Maharaj is wanting that how I want to learn about the illusory potency of the Lord. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj mentioned that the world appreciates you if you give more time to Maya. Devotees appreciate you if you spend more time with Krishna. The next question, it's not a question, but in the next shloka, Nimi Maharaj is expressing his eagerness. Nanutripye jushanyushmad vacho harikathamritam samsara tapa nistapto martyas tattapa bheshajam.
Although I am drinking the nectar of your statements about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, my thirst is not yet satiated. Such nectarian description of the Lord and his devotees are the actual medicine for the conditioned souls like me, who are tormented by the threefold miseries of material existence.
So Nimi Maharaj is saying that samsara tapa nistaptaha. I am suffering in the material existence. Although I am suffering, and vacho harikatamritam, and I am drinking the nectar of your statements about the Lord's glories, Yushmad Vachaha Harikatamritam Jushan. Although I am drinking the nectar of your statements about the Lord's glories, what is the nature of this Harikatha? Tapa Beshajam. Martya Tat Tapa Beshajam. It's the remedy for suffering the material existence. But although I am drinking it, na anutripye. I am not fully satisfied. I am not satiated. So here, Nimi Maharaj is expressing his irrepressible greed to drink the nectar of the words of Antariksha. So there are many places in the Bhagavatam how the Krishna Katha is mentioned as a medicine for the Bhavaroga. Bhavaushadad Shrotra Manobiramat. It's a medicine for the Bhavaroga. Sometimes sadhu is compared to a doctor. Chaitanya Charitamrita, sadhu, vaidya, devotee is compared to a doctor. Or in the Bhagavatam, Krishna is compared to the best of the doctors. Vayam tu sakshat Bhagavan Bhavasya Priyasya Sakyur Kshanasangamena Sudushchukitsyasya Bhavasya Mrityur Bishaktamam Twadya Gatim Gatasma. Prachetas, they say that you are the best among the doctors because only you can cure the most difficult, incurable disease of Bhavaroga. Another beautiful shloka in the Mukunda Mala Stotra. There the medicine of Krishna Katha or Krishna Seva or Krishna's holy name is glorified in many different ways. Vyamoha prashamaushadam munimano vritti pravrityaushadam daityendrartikaraushadam tribhuvane sanjeevanaikaushadam bhaktatyantahitaushadam bhavabhaya pradvamsanaikaushadam shreya praptikaraushadam pibamana Shri Krishna Divyaushadam. Vyamoha Prashamaushadam. Krishna Katha, it removes the illusion from a person. Munimano Vritti Pravritti Aushadam. It gives inspiration to the sages in their meditation on the Supreme Lord. Daityendrarti Karaushadam. The Krishna Katha, or this Krishna Aushadam, it actually destroys the demons. Tribhuvane Sanjeevanaika Aushadam. It gives life to the entire, all the three worlds. Bhaktatyanta Hitaushadam. It bestows the greatest benefit upon the devotees. Bhavabhaya Pradvamsanaika Aushadam. It destroys the material existence. And Shreya Prapti Karaushadam. It gives the highest, bestows the highest goal upon the living entity. So therefore, O my mind, Pibamana, Shri Krishna Divyaushadam. Please drink this transcendental medicine of Krishna, Krishna Katha. So here Nimi Maharaj is saying that na anutrapye. I am not satiated. So Prabhupada's disciples are writing that. So what is the need to ask this question after such an elaborate description? What is the need for Nimi Maharaj to ask such a question? So Sridhar Swami says that, but Harikatamritam, topics about Krishna and his devotees are so pleasing that one cannot give up hearing them even after spiritual liberation. So he says, normally material medicine, after the disease is over, a person stops taking. But that is not the case for the spiritual medicine. One continues to take. In the Bhagavatam beginning, we have the verse Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukamukad amrita drava samyutam. Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam. In that shloka, Vishnu Chakotipad says that how should this fruit be consumed? One should drink this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is rasamalayam, which is rasamalayam. Rasamalayam means, laya means liberation. So alayam means this particular fruit of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it extends beyond attaining liberation. Basically, a person continues to hear Bhagavatam even after attaining liberation. Or rasam alayam, laya can refer to the 8th sattvika bhava called as pralaya or fainting. So rasamalayam, it indicates that one hears Bhagavatam even after attaining the ultimate, the highest sattvika bhava of getting fainted. One may wonder, after fainting, how can a person hear or read Bhagavatam? It means like when a person comes out of the fainting, he actually continues to hear Bhagavatam. So, and muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. Although one has drunk it, by again drinking it, one develops more relish for hearing it. So therefore we see that Nimi Maharaj, he has already heard very elaborately in the previous chapter. But still he says, Na anutrupya, I am not satiated. Because that is the nature of the topics about Krishna. So you are all great saintly persons. Therefore, although you will speak about Maya, the conclusion will undoubtedly be Krishna consciousness. Please don't think that you already explained everything to me. The intoxicating nectar of your instruction has left me more eagerness to hear even more. So now Antariksha starts replying. Shri Antariksha Uvacha Yebhir Bhutani Bhutatma Mahabhutair Mahabhuja Sasarjochhavachanyadya Swamatratma Prasiddhaye.
Hare Krishna. Sri Antariksha said, O mighty armed king, by activating the material elements, the primeval soul of all creation has sent forth all living beings in higher and lower species, so that these conditioned souls can cultivate either sense gratification or ultimate liberation according to their desire.
So Antariksha is saying that Mahabhuja, a mighty armed king, Mahabhutaihi, by activating the material elements, by activating the material elements, the primary soul of all the creation, Bhutatma, Adya Bhutatma, Sasarja is the verb here, has created all the living beings. Bhutani, he has created all the living beings. Ucha Avachani, in the higher and lower species. For what purpose? Swa Matratma Prasiddhaye. So that the conditioned souls can cultivate swamatra, sense gratification, and atma prasiddhaya, or ultimate liberation according to their desire. So here so Uchavachani, Sasarja Uchavachani, Lord has created living beings in the higher and lower species according to their karma. Purusha Prakriti Sohi, Bhunkte Prakriti Jan Gunan, Karanam Gunasangasya Sad Asad Yoni Janmashu. Sadasad Yoni Janmashu. That verse is quoted, and also Urdhvam Gachanti Satvasta, Madhya Tishtanti Rajasa. How based on the three modes, based on their karma, they get higher, lower, or intermediate species. And we see that various living species, every living species has got some speciality in some area. Pigeons have a great capacity for enjoying sense gratification, sex life. And tigers and lions can exhibit propensity for fighting. Horses are distinguished for their swift running. Vultures and eagles have their keen eyesight, etc. So human being is given a very profound intelligence to understand the higher subject matters. So Swa Matratma Prasiddhaye, these verses describe the purpose of the material creation. So two purposes are mentioned: sense gratification and ultimate liberation. So the purport the Acharyas are clarifying, ultimately there is only one purpose. The purpose of creation, the ultimate issue, there is only one purpose, that is Atma Prasiddhaye, for the ultimate liberation of the living entity. Because majority of the people are not ready for it, and they want to enjoy independently from Krishna, so even not to give them opportunity for enjoying independently from Krishna, also the creation is created, the world is created. But it is created in such a way that they gradually, ultimately come to that higher understanding of liberation. So Swa Matratma Prasiddhi, although two purposes are mentioned, essentially there is only one purpose. It's like Bhagavatam has 10 topics. But although it has 10 topics, essentially Bhagavatam has only one topic only. That is Ashraya Tattva. All the other 9 topics are there in the Bhagavatam in order to eliminate the 10th topic. Not only for the Bhagavatam, if we take the entire gamut of the Vedic literatures, there is only one topic. Vede Ramayane Chaiva Purane Bharate Tata Adavantaucha Madhyecha Hari Sarvatra Giyate. Only Lord Hari is glorified in the beginning, middle, and end. So similarly, although two purposes are mentioned, Swa Matratma Prasiddhaye, but there is only one purpose. So that is what the last paragraph, if we go through that, that's clarified. Second purpose is to give opportunity for the living entity to enjoy sense gratification. But that purpose is there. That purpose is there because people are not ready for liberation. So therefore, they want to enjoy this world. Therefore, world is created to facilitate their enjoyment. But indirectly, even those people are gradually guided towards the ultimate liberation only. So therefore, there is only one purpose of the creation. And this is also supported by another verse from the prayers of the personified Vedas. Buddhindriya Manapranan Jananam Asrijat Prabhu Matrartam cha Bhavartam cha Atmane Akalpanaya cha. This verse, because if you see, Matrartam cha bhavartam cha atmane kalpanaya. Three purposes are mentioned. Matrartam means to enjoy sense gratification in this world. And bhavartam means taking repeated births to engage in fruitive activities for that purpose. And third is that for ultimate liberation, Atmane Akalpanaya. So these three are the purposes for the creation of the material world, or the Lord creation of the different material bodies. But although three purposes are mentioned, eventually there is only one purpose. Atmane Akalpanaya. Next shloka. Evam srishtani bhutani pravishta pancha dhatubhihi ekadha dashadatmanam vibhajan jushate gunan.
The super soul enters the material bodies of the created beings, activates the mind and senses, and thus causes the conditioned souls to approach the three modes of material nature for sense gratification.
Evam srishtani bhutani pravishta panchadhatubhihi. The Lord, having created the material bodies, srishtani, evam bhutani srishtani, which are created by panchadhatubhihi, by the five elements. Vibhajan, dividing himself into ekada and dashada, dividing himself into the mind and the 10 senses. So the Lord, what does he do? He engages the jiva in enjoying sense objects. Vibhajan jushate gunan. Jushate gunan. So engages the living entities in enjoying sense objects. So these verses describe the situation after creation. So the Lord creates the material bodies and he enters as a super soul and he facilitates the jivatmas enjoying sense gratification. So there's a very similar verse, the first canto, second chapter, last shloka. Asau gunamayim bhavam, asau gunamayair bhavair, bhuta sukshmendriyatma bihi, svanirmiteshu nirvishto bhunkte bhuteshu tadguna. So the Lord as Paramatma, having created all the bodies with the material sense objects, senses and mind, which have been created by the Lord, makes the jivas enjoy the sense objects colored by the gunas. Say similar meaning is given in this shloka also. So the purport, it is explained that the liberated souls are not attracted by the sense gratification, but the conditioned souls, because of forgetfulness of Krishna, they develop illicit desires. So, but if their love of Godhead is somewhat or other awakened, the conditioned souls can dovetail all their sensory activity to the service of the Lord's transcendental position. So there may be certain enjoyment which may appear agreeable, certain enjoyment may appear disagreeable from a relative platform. But from the ultimate platform, all materialistic activities are most undesirable. It's like a difference between wet stool and the dry stool. So in ignorance, the conditioned soul considers himself the proper object of service and thus misunderstand the entire material situation. So whether it is a regulated sense gratification or unregulated, seeing from a transcendental point of view, both are not desirable. Next shloka. Gunair gunansa bunjana atma pratyoditai prabhu manyamana idam srishtam atmanam iha sajjate.
Translation. The individual living being, the master of the material body, uses his material senses, which have been activated by the supersoul, to try to enjoy sense objects composed of the three modes of nature. Thus, he misidentifies the created material body with the unborn eternal self and becomes entangled in the illusory energy of the Lord.
Gunaihi gunan sa bunjanaha. So the living entity, gunan refers to the objects of the senses. Gunaihi refers to the by the senses. Both are under the three modes of nature. Bunjana, enjoying the object of the senses by the senses. Atma pratyoditai, which are impelled by the Lord. So the living entity, idam srishtam manyamana, he thinks himself to be that created body. From this you can, leave computer already. Okay. Hare Krishna. So manyamana idam srishtam thinks himself to be the created body, and then iha sajjate. Idam srishtam atmanam manyamana iha sajjate, he becomes entangled in those bodies. Atmanam iha sajjate. So we see that in the shloka, how the living entity gets entangled because of trying to enjoy the sense objects with the senses. So here, the living entity is called in the shloka by the word Prabhu. Why is he called as a Prabhu? Because being part of Krishna, he is a minute master, therefore he is called as a Prabhu. In the Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter also, the living entity is called as a Ishvara because he has a minute independence. Shariram yad avapnoti yachap utkramatishvaraha virhitvaitani samyati vayurgandan nivashayat. Therefore, the Jiva is called as a Ishvara there or as a Prabhu. So, the word Prabhu indicates just like the child receives a toy car from the father and then he starts pedaling the toy car. The living entity pedals around the material universe in the innumerable material bodies selected for him by the Supreme Lord from an assortment of 84 lakh species. So the living entity going through the 84 lakh species is compared with the child pedaling the toy car. Or another place, Prabhupada gives an analogy that the living entity traveling through the 84 lakh species, it is like going through the giant wheel. Giant wheel. So if you see, children actually take pleasure in the giant wheel. They are looking forward to go into the giant wheel because they feel great sensation. Oh, we are in the top, at the top. They get excited entering the giant wheel. Although you are there in the top only for a brief period. Just a few moments later, you come back. Similarly, the conditioned souls taking pleasure in a particular position or in a particular body, it is like a children getting excited in the top of the giant wheel. Sober people, they understand, okay, just going to remain for a few seconds. So similarly, manyamanam idam srishtam atmanam, the conditioned soul thinks the temporary body to be the permanent body. And then he becomes entangled in those bodies. So therefore, very appropriate shloka is also quoted. I think shloka is quoted later. Bhayam Ditiya Abhiniveshatasya, here it is quoted. I thought it is quoted. Bhayam Dvitiya Abhiniveshatasya. Yes, Bhayam Dvitiya Abhiniveshatasya Ishad Apetasya Viparyayo Smritihi. Ishad Apetasya, because of forgetting the Supreme Lord, because of disassociating oneself from the Supreme Lord, what happens? Bhayam Dvitiya Abhiniveshatasya Bhayam Dvitiya Abhiniveshatasya. One gets absorbed in Dvitiya, something separate from the Supreme Absolute Truth. And then Bhayam, he becomes overcome with fear. Viparyaya, he only goes through reversals in his life. Viparyayo Smritihi, he forgets his relationship with the Supreme Lord. He becomes forgetful of his constitutional position. So the first two lines of the Bhayam Dvitiya, that is appropriate to the shloka. So therefore it is quoted. But there is another interesting explanation given by Jiva Goswami for the word, for the same shloka. Jiva Goswami's explanation. He says that in this shloka, we can take the word Prabhu also to refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then the word Gunair Gunan, then Guna refers to the good qualities. So Guna refers to the good qualities. So when a person becomes devoted to the Supreme Lord, all the good qualities develop in him. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavat yakinchana sarvair gunahiseta samasate suraha. So then Atma Pratyoditai would then indicate, by surrendering unto the Lord, who is the reservoir of all good qualities. The living entity similarly becomes endowed with good qualities. And then when the living entity becomes endowed with good qualities, the Supreme Lord considers such a pure devotee to be himself. It means like he considers such a pure devotee to be part of him, to be his very intimate associate. That is the meaning of the word Manyamana idam srishtam atmanam. So therefore the Lord says that Acharyam mam vijaniyan nava manyeta karihichit. Never disrespect Acharya, who is non-different from myself. So therefore, for example, the three examples are given in the purport. How Krishna considers the devotees to be very part of his self. First example given is that when Krishna was about to depart for Dwaraka from Hastinapura, by the sincere and simple loving request of Yudhishthira Maharaj, Krishna decides to stay in Hastinapur. Then after that only he takes the Pandavas to meet Bhishma. Because he considers Yudhishthira Maharaj to be like his own body, therefore he agreed to the request of. Or Krishna would, as a small child, he would dance to the request of the elderly gopis in Vrindavan, because he considers the such devotees to be like his very self. The third shloka is quoted that Sadhavo Hridayam Mayyam Sadhunam Hridayam Tvaham Madanyatena Jananti Nagam Tebhyo Managapi. In this way, if we take the alternative meaning Prabhu to refer to Krishna, the Supreme Lord, then how the meaning of this words changes. Jiva Goswami has given this explanation. Vishwanath Chakravarti has given another flavor to the first explanation only. He says that Prabhuhu means what? Prakarshena bhavati. One who is excessively, that means repeatedly taking birth. That is the meaning of the word Prabhu. Prakarshena devatiriyak adishu bhavati iti saha. And so he is giving basically another flavor to the first meaning only. Jiva Goswami has given another meaning to the shloka. So Jiva Goswami also says that when the devotee gets attached to the Supreme Lord, so at that time, the Supreme Lord considers the devotee to be equal to himself. Diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpana sei kale Krishna tare kare atma sama. In the Diksha kala, a devotee surrenders to Krishna, and then at that time Krishna considers the devotee to be atma sama, to be equal to himself. So this verse is, will be applicable in relation to the Jiva Goswami's explanation, because Krishna considers the devotee to be manyamana idam srishtam atmana. He considers to be pure, to be equal to himself. Next shloka. Karmani karma bhikkurvan sanimittani deha bhrut tattat karma palam grishnan bhramatiha sukhetaram.
Impelled by deep-rooted material desires, the embodied living entity engages his active sense organs in fruitive activities. He then experiences the results of his material actions by wandering throughout this world in so-called happiness and distress.
Karmani karma bihi kurvan sanimittani deha bhrut. Deha bhrut, the embodied living entity, he engages his active sense organs. Sanimittani, he engages his active sense organs in activities accompanied by impression. Saha nimittani. Sa nimittani means nimittani saha, accompanied by different vasanas, impressions, and accepting the karma in the form of the enjoyment and suffering. Sukha itaram, karma phalam grishnan. Karma phalam, what is the karma phalam? Suketaram, happiness and distress. Grishnan, accepting that. Brahmati, iha brahmati, he keeps wandering in this world. He keeps wandering in this world. So here, if you see that sometimes people may say that where is the free will for the living entity? There is no free will for the jiva. Everything is predestined. Based on their past karma, we are going through situations and we are forced to act in a particular way. There is no free will, like that one may argue. So, but this argument is not proper, because free will is definitely there. based on the past karma, we get a different situation. We have to face different situation. But how you can act in the situation, that free will is always there. So somebody is going in an airplane, he has the free will as to how to behave during the journey of the airplane. He can make friendship with some good business person, and then he can establish nice contact and use that contact after coming out of the airplane. Or he can get intoxicated and have a fight with the air hostess and then gets punished immediately after landing. So, so therefore, that once you have taken the flight, you cannot change where you are going to land. That you cannot change once you enter the flight. So based on the past karma, certain things are fixed, what you are going to experience. But depending on how you react to it, the situations, results can change further. So therefore, the Supreme Lord cannot be considered unjust for holding the living entity in human life responsible for his present activities, despite the living entities undergoing the reactions of his previous work. So how the Lord is not unjust, that is explained. Vishwanath Chakravarti also says that when the living entity, by performing different karmas, when he keeps transmigrating in this world, even when he goes to the hellish planets, he thinks that such a situation is a happy situation. That is the extent of Maya. He enjoys even being born in a hellish situation. Hellish situation, it's not only referring to the hellish planet. Even within this world, there are certain situations which are practically like a hellish situation. Prabhupada said that London is like hell. Sometimes there is somebody sent one video of certain slum areas in Bombay, some particular slum areas. It's a short documentary. So it was described that what is the condition of living condition of the people over there, with so many details. But people even there, they think that they're happy there. So Brahmati iha suketaram. Next shloka. Ittam karmagatirgachan Bhakvabhadravaha puman Abhuta samplavat sarga Pralaya vashnute vashaha.
Thus, the conditioned living entity is forced to experience repeated birth and death. Impelled by the reactions of his own activities, he helplessly wanders from one inauspicious situation to another, suffering from the moment of creation until the time of cosmic annihilation.
So ittam, in this way, the avashaha means helpless. The same word comes previously. Apanna samsrutim goram yannama vivasho grinan. Ajamil chanted in a helpless way. The helpless Jivatma, he obtains various bodies. Bahu abhadravaha, obtains various bodies according to his karma gati, according to the karma, involving great misfortune. Bahu abhadravaha. And attains birth and death until the destruction of the universe. Abhuta samplavat sarga. Abhuta samplavat sarga means till he attains actually till the time of dissolution of the universe. Abhuta samplavat sarga. Sarga pralayav ashnute avashaha. So Madhvacharya says that after hearing in these shlokas that how the living entity is suffering, is subjected to repeated birth and death. After hearing such a truth, if a person still thinks that the living entity is equal to God, in all respects, then one will surely fall into the darkest region of the universe, from which it is difficult to rise. So now from the next shloka onwards, from the 8th shloka onwards, Antariksha is describing the situation at the time of the destruction, Pralaya. So the same thing what Antariksha is describing, Markandeya Rishi actually experienced it. You will see in the 12th canto, I think 8th or 9th chapter. But Antariksha is describing what will happen at the end of the Pralaya by using the Krishna's material energy. Dhatu paplava asanne vyaktam dravya gunatmakam anadi nidana kalo yavyakta yapakarshati.
When the annihilation of the material elements is imminent, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his form of eternal time, withdraws the manifest cosmos, consisting of gross and subtle features, and the entire universe vanishes into non manifestation.
So, Dhatu Upaplave. Dhatu Upaplave. That means when the annihilation of the material elements is imminent. Dhatu Upaplave Asanne. At the time of the annihilation of this universe, the Pralaya Kal is imminent. At that time, Kalaha. What is the nature of Kala? Anadi Nidana Kala. Kala has no beginning, no end. Out of the 5 subjects of the Gita, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, all these 4 have no beginning, no end. When we say the karma is not nitya, temporary, technically speaking, karma is, it has no beginning, but it has an end. Therefore, it is called as anitya. So one-sided infinity. It's no beginning, but it has an end. So anadi nidana kala. So the time without beginning or end withdraws the vyaktam dravya kunatmakam. So vyaktam here refers to the manifested material world. The manifested material world, it is composed of dravya gunatmakam. It is translated as the gross and subtle features. Dravya, because guna is something subtle. Dravya padartha, the guna resides in the dravya padartha. Dravya is more gross, but guna is actually subtle. So vyaktam dravya gunatmakam, the time withdraws the manifest cosmos consisting of gross and subtle features. Avyaktaya apakarshati, withdraws the manifest cosmos into Prakriti. Avyaktaya. Avyaktaya refers to Prakriti. Avyaktaya apakarshati. So while this is happening in the material world, the spiritual world, there is no creation or destruction for it. Spiritual world, everything is eternal. So it is stated that at the end of the universal time, the same Kala that originally incited the female nature into material the manifestation again withdraws the cosmos into its original state of inert non-manifestation. So, Avyaktad Vyaktaya Sarva, that Gita shloka, Avyaktad Vyaktaya Sarva, Prabhavantyakharagame Bhutagramash. Maybe I'm mixing up. So the same Gita shloka which is described in 8th chapter. Similar thing. So now the next few shlokas I'll go through in summary format. It describes how the destruction takes place. Shatavarsha Hyanavrishti. Initially there is, for 100 years there is Anavrishti, drought. Bhavishyat Ulbana Bhuvi Tat Kalopa Chitoshnarko Lokam Strin Pratapishyati. So initially there is for 100 years drought. Then after that for 100 years there is a intense heat of the sun. And it keeps on increasing. And Trin Lokan Pratapishyati. It burns the 3 worlds, the intense heat for next 100 years. And then Patala Talam Arabhya Sankarshana Mukanalah Dahan Urdvashiko Vishwak Vardate Vayuneritah. So from the Patala Loka, below the Patala Loka, Ananta is there. So Ananta Sesha, from the Sankarshan, from his mouth a fire emanates. Sankarshana Mukanala. And that fire starts going upward. Dahan Urdvashiko Vishwak. Vardate Vayuneritaka. That fire starts increasing. It starts spreading more and more with the help of the wind. And then Samvartako Mega Gano Varshatisma Shatam Samaha. Darabir Hasti Hastabir Liyate Salile Virat. And then for another 100 years, there is an intense rain through the Samvartaka clouds. And Dharabir Hasti Hastabir. Hasti Hastabir. The rains will come in through huge columns, which are like elephant trunks. And Liyate Salile Virat. The deadly rainfall submerges the entire universe in the water. Virat Salile Liyate. The entire universe becomes submerged in the water. What is being described here, it was seen by Markandeya Rishi. He was tasked and went through a really miserable time, but he directly experienced it. 12th kind. 12th shloka. Markandeya Rishis. That is 12th canto. 9th chapter. So now we are reading the 12th shloka. 9th chapter, you can see that Markandeya Rishi asking that question, I want to experience your Maya. And then after that, the Lord actually makes Markandeya Rishi go through what is being explained in these shlokas. Tato Viraja Mutsrajya Vairaja Purusho Nripa Avyaktam Vishate Sukshmam Nirindhanayiva Nalaha.
Then Vairaja, Brahma, the soul of the universal form, uses up his universal body, O king, and enters into subtle unmanifest nature, like a fire that has run out of fuel.
So then tato virajam utsrijya. The Vairaja Brahma. We see in the Bhagavatam earlier it is described. It's a Vairaja Brahma and Hiranyagarbha Brahma. You heard the term. Vairaja Brahma refers to the grass body of the Brahma. I'll show you the exact reference. Rupa Goswami describes in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, and also Vishwanath Chakravarti describes. One minute. In the Bhagavatam 3.8.15, Vishwanath Chakravarti describes about the three forms of Brahma. Grass form of Brahma called as Vairaja. The grass form of Brahma is called as Vairaja. He describes as the lotus of the planets. Vairaja Brahma refers to the lotus in which all the planets are situated. And then there is a subtle form of Brahma is called as Hiranyagarbha. And then there is a four-headed Brahma, the creator. These are the three forms of Brahma. This is the explanation of Vishwanath Chakravarti. In Laghu Bhagavatamrita, 2nd chapter, 19th and 20th shloka, Rupa Goswami describes two forms of Brahma. One is the Hiranyagarbha Brahma, that is same as the Vishwanath Chakravarti's explanation, subtle form of Brahma. Hiranyagarbha Brahma is made of the Mahat Tattva. And then the Vairaja Brahma refers to the grass form of Brahma made of the aggregate of the elements. He says the Vairaja Brahma is same as the four-headed Brahma. This is the explanation for the term Vairaja Brahma. So here, then the Vairaja Brahma, Utsrijya, gives up his universal body. Vairaja Purushondrapa and enters into the subtle Prakriti. Avyaktam Vishate. Avyaktam. Sukshmam Avyaktam Vishate. And the analogy is given, Nirindana iva analaha. Just like a fire which has run out of the fuel. Indana means fuel. Nirindana iva analaha. Just like a fire which has run out of the fuel, the Vairaja Brahma gives up his universal body and enters in the subtle Prakriti. So this is a beautiful purport. So Vairaja Brahma refers to the totality of the individual conditioned souls. So by the manifestation of the Virata Purusha, so that the universal form of the Lord, there is a temporary display of the forms, qualities and activities within the material creation. So Virata Purusha is a temporary form of the Lord. It is the material form of the Lord. So the Virata form, the Virata Purusha is nothing but the whole universe as the body of the Lord. That is the description of the Virata Purusha. Because the whole universe is described as the different limbs of the body of the Virata Purusha. And the Virata Purusha is manifest for a particular period of the creation. And when the creation is over, it is annihilated, it gets dissolved. And this Virata Purusha meditation is given for those people who are excessively materialistic, who cannot appreciate the Sachidananda Vigraha of Krishna, for them the Virata Rupa meditation is given. So to encourage such gross materialists to become faithful theists, the Vedic literature instructs them to meditate upon the physical universe as the gigantic body of the Supreme Lord. It's a technique to gradually bring a person closer to Krishna. So, in this shloka, it is explained that Avyaktam Vishate Sukshmam, the Vairajya Brahma enters into the subtle Prakriti. So, this particular word is little more explained in more detail in the purport. So, one question is raised. A verse is mentioned in the, a verse comes in the Sridhar Swami quotes a shloka. This verse is from Kurma Purana. Brahmana sahate sarve samprapte pratisanchare parasyante kritatmana pravishanti parampadam. According to Kurma Purana shloka, it is described that self-realized souls enter Vaikuntha along with Brahma after the Pralaya. Brahmana sahate sarve. Self-realized souls, they enter Vaikuntha along with Brahma after Pralaya. But here it is explained that the Brahma enters into Avyakta. So it seems to be contradicting to that Kurma Purana shloka. Then he is resolving the contradiction. So he says that it is not that all Brahmas are pure devotees. There could be a Karmi Brahma, Jnani Brahma, and a devotee Brahma. A Brahma who is a Karmi, he again takes birth in this material world. And a Jnani Brahma, he attains impersonal Brahman realization, Sayujya Mukti. And a devotee Brahma, with this shloka we'll take a break. In the case of a devotee Brahma, if he is a pure devotee Brahma, he attains Vaikuntha. So therefore this Kurma Purana shloka which is quoted here, Brahmana Sahate Sarve, it refers to that pure devotee Brahma, he enters Vaikuntha. But suppose there is a devotee Brahma, but who still has a tendency for control, tendency for lording it over matter. Then such a devotee Brahma, he does not enter Vaikuntha, rather he takes birth in this world as Brahma again. As Brahma again. So in that way, we see that only a pure devotee who is completely surrendered to Krishna, only such a person can enter Vaikuntha. So Kapila Dev also mentions that the various destinations possible for such an exalted living entity as a Lord Brahma definitely prove that any material position is worthless for guaranteeing an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. So therefore, that in this shloka, when it is mentioned that Avyaktam Vishate Sukshmam, in the case of a pure devotee Brahma, the word Avyaktam here refers to Vaikuntha. He enters into Vaikuntha. In the case of a who is not a pure devotee Brahma, who is not a devotee Brahma, then he enters into the unmanifest stage, or he goes into sleep. And in the case of a non-devotee Brahma, so the words Avyaktam Vishate Sukshmam can be understood to indicate that such a non-devotee Brahma cannot enter into the spiritual sky. But when a Brahma is a devotee, then the Avyaktam can be taken to indicate the spiritual sky. So if even a Brahma cannot enter the kingdom of God without surrendering to the Supreme Lord, then what to speak of other so-called pious or expert non-devotees? So therefore, we see that this shloka Brahma is a person who performs, who is involved in the greatest effort of creation. Who is involved in the greatest effort of creation, but even such a person, if he is not fully surrendered to the Lord, he cannot attain Vaikuntha. So a verse from the 18th chapter is quoted, Bhagavad Gita. Particularly one word is quoted. This verse comes in about, I think, worker in the Rajoguna. Or work in Rajoguna. Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tad rajasam udahritam. That karma which is performed with a desire to enjoy, with a sense of false ego, kriyate bahulayasam. Kriyate bahulayasam. This verse applies to the Brahma who is in Rajoguna. Because his creation and management of the universe are certainly bahulayasam, strenuous endeavor. But all such passionate work is ultimately useless without surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. So even though Brahma may be involved in the great bahulayasam, extensive strenuous work, if he is not completely surrendered, then avyaktam vishate sukshmam, he becomes unmanifest and again he takes birth in this world only. And then further we will see that after the break, I think. Okay. F- 15 minutes break? Is that? Okay. I have not found any Shastric reference for it. Heard that. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions?
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes, Mata.
Prabhuji, before that, the Boris Baker and Andre Agassi example you were mentioning, that Markandeya Rishi wanted to actually experience, and over here Maharaj wants to actually learn. So, what is the difference between learning and experiencing? Because experiencing is like, you're experiencing yourself and then you have that particular realization. And then through learning also, do we have that realization, or I'm little just confused about this, Prabhuji?
In learning by hearing without going through that trouble of the experience of that Maya potency, one can come to the same realization. In the Markandeya Rishi, when he wanted to see the illusory potency of the Lord, that is actually he wanted to see it. It's equivalent to I wanted to experience it. He wanted to see it. And then Markandeya Rishi, whatever is being described, like he went through, he saw the period of drought and then followed by so much of rain. He was being tossed around in the waters of the pralaya for a long time. And then finally he saw that form of the Vatapatra Shahi, and then he came out of it. So it was a quite an intense experience. In that experience, he couldn't focus properly on Krishna. Also, it's a very troublesome situation. But instead, he could have also asked the question about Markandeya Rishi was a very great personality, because that previous chapter, 12th canto, I think 7th chapter or 8th chapter, when Markandeya Rishi was performing austerities, Indra sent many apsaras to distract him. But Markandeya Rishi, his mind did not undergo any transformation. He could not be disturbed by the Indra's disturbances. So he was an exalted person, but Markandeya Rishi had this kind of like an idle curiosity. He said, I want to see your illusory potency. So then he had to go through a little roundabout way to come to the same realization which Nimi Maharaj has come. Nimi Maharaj said that I want to learn, I want to hear about your illusory potency. So one has to be aware of how the material nature works. But for that, you don't have to go through that actual experience. One has to be aware of, say, whatever the different ways in which Maya comes to distract a person. That too, one may not go into the details of it. One may just come to know about by principal ways, or to some extent details. But one need not have to actually go through it. I want to suppose it could be internet or something. I want to actually see what is there in that, and then understand how it is distraction. No, one does not have to go through like that, and then one can get carried away also. So, hearing from a proper person with a proper attitude, with that one can get a same profound realization without actually going through that situation also.
So, Prabhuji, you're trying to say that when you learn, so you are very much aware because you have that particular knowledge, and because we have that knowledge, whenever that particular situation will come, we'll be alert.
Hmm.
Okay, this is like, a particular, video has come on my mobile and I should just shun it down. I don't need to see it because that's not anyways related to the Supreme Lord. So, Prabhuji, is this what you're trying to say, Prabhuji? And is my understanding also, on the proper lines, Prabhuji?
Yeah, something like that. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Time he becomes devotee, or he was previously only devotee, but he was given Brahma post.
During the course of
During the course of creation,
Hmm.
he becomes devotee, or he previously only was devotee, that Brahma was given that post.
No, see, to get the post of Brahma, it is not based on devotional qualification. Somebody who has performed Varnashram Dharma for 100 lifetimes, that is a qualification for Brahma. In general, definitely, because he's following the Vedic Varnashram Dharma, he is expected that he will be respecting Vishnu. But it will not be in a pure devotional platform. It could be as a karmi, or it could be as a jnani, it could be as a devotee. Definitely, he must be respecting Vishnu or devoted to Vishnu, but need not be a devotee, devotion being prominent. It would be a karmi, jnani, or bhakta.
Prabhuji, over here the question was asked that I want to know the Maya of the Lord. So why specifically this phase is spoken about destruction? How not the illusory energy? This has been spoken about the destruction, how it happens, the annihilation, how it happens. Why not? Because the Maya means only the destruction phase, the creation and destruction, or the way the illusion also is put to the people.
See, generally, because of the illusory potency, we get attracted to the different forms of this world. And we consider the temporary to be permanent. And then we invest our energy in dealing with the temporary as if it is permanent. So this description of the destruction phase, it shows that even the most attractive thing which you are attracted to during the creation phase, what it undergoes, how everything gets destroyed at the time of destruction. So it shows the real situation of what we are attracted to. It exposes that how we were in Maya. Somebody has a question. Okay. Should we proceed ahead? Okay. So from the 13th shloka. Yes, Ro.
Sri Chaitanya Chandra. This ideal curiosity so
Your voice is not audible properly.
Your voice is breaking, Prabhuji.
Your voice is not audible. It's breaking. Prabhu, your voice is not audible. It is breaking.
You can send chat message, Prabhuji.
Not audible, not audible. Please send the chat message.
Anybody else wants to share any points?
Prabhuji, this Chakravarti Thakur mentions that three Brahma are there. So who are all three Brahma?
Karmi Brahma, a Brahma who is a fruity worker, he takes birth in this world again. it could be in any species depending on his consciousness. Jnani Brahma attains Sayujya Mukti. And a devotee Brahma, he goes to Vaikuntha. Within the devotee Brahma, he gives one subcategory. A pure devotee attains Vaikuntha, but a devotee Brahma who is still somewhat inclined to controlling, such a devotee Brahma is given an opportunity to take birth again as Brahma in this world. These are the four categories. Three categories within the third category gives the two subcategories. Within one is a pure devotee Brahma, another is a
What is Brahma?
devotee with a tendency for controlling. Tendency to think himself to be independent. Such a devotee Brahma is given a chance to again take birth as Brahma.
Here, this word gross Brahma, Vairaj, what does it mean, Prabhuji? 3.8.15 we read, na?
Vairaja Brahma essentially refers to the gross body of Brahma. The gross body of Brahma merges into the subtle. At the time of destruction, reverse process of creation happens. So in the creation begins with the Brahma taking birth and Brahma using all the bodies to, all the elements to create different bodies. During destruction, Brahma's gross body merges into the subtle and manifesting. And then further we'll see in the next shlokas also how during destruction, the gross things merges into the previous subtle element, which merges into the previous subtle element.
You said where is the Brahma and subtle form of Brahma and four-headed Brahma. Three things you're mentioning in that purport.
I mentioned just for information's sake, 3.8.15, Vishwanath Chakotaku's purport, he talks about three types of Brahma or three aspects of Brahma. He says that the lotus in which Brahma is situated, the lotus, only 14 planets are there. That lotus itself is a Brahma, he said. The lotus itself is called as a Brahma. That he refers to as Vairaja Brahma.
Okay.
Hiranyagarbha Brahma, he says it refers to the subtle body of Brahma. And then the third is the four-headed Brahma who creates. This way, Vishwanath Chakotaku talks about three types of Brahma in 3.8.15 purport. The Laghu Bhagavatamrita, second chapter, 19th and 28th shloka, Rupa Goswami talks about just two types of Brahma or two aspects of Brahma. Vairaja Brahma refers to the gross Brahma, the four-headed Brahma with a gross body. Hiranyagarbha Brahma refers to the subtle body of Brahma.
Prabhuji, Brahma does not have gross body. Na? We hear that he has a body made up of intelligence.
Intelligence.
Then
Within that we can say relative.
Okay.
Within that.
And one more thing, this when Brahma wants to control, and then he again becomes Brahma. So how this qualification makes him again Brahma? Means he has to do some tapasya also, no?
Brahma has when a devotee Brahma has a tendency to think independently, he is born again as Brahma. Like that, Vishwanath Chakotaku, it's explained based on the 3.32.15 shloka Bhagavatam. Another case of described by Brahma, who is a devotee of the Lord, but who has a tendency to think himself independent of or equal to the Lord, may achieve Mahavishnu's abode at the time of annihilation. But when creation begins again, he has to return and again take the post of Brahma. So your question is that why he avoided the post of Brahma without him undergoing any tapasya?
Yes. And Prabhuji, what is this bhakti where he is having controlling mentality? What is this bhakti then?
No, he is a devotee. At the same time, he has a tendency to think independently.
That
There could be a mixed devotee also, no? Mixed devotee.
okay.
So it's referring to that.
So just by doing that mixed devotion, he has got the qualification to become Brahma once again.
That is how it is described here. So,
Yes. Thank you.
so from the 13th shloka, so I'll go through some shlokas in summary. Then, so if you see, the reverse order of creation is described. The earth element, earth's quality is fragrance. So by the force of the wind, the earth loses its quality of fragrance. Then the earth it merges into the previous element, that is the water. And the water's unique quality is taste. And the water loses its quality of taste by the wind at the time of pralaya. And then the water gets transformed, or water gets merged into the previous element, fire. And fire's unique quality is rupa, or form. And again, by the force of the wind at the time of pralaya, the fire loses its unique quality of form, and then it merges back into the air. And the air's unique quality is touch. And the air loses its quality of touch by the influence of space or akasha. And then when the air uses its unique quality of touch, then it merges into the akasha. And the akasha's unique quality is sound. And by the influence of the time factor, the quality of sound is deprived from the space, and then the space or the akasha merges into the false ego in tamoguna, tamasika ahankara, tamas ahankara, because from the tamas ahankara only all these elements come. And then the material senses and the material intelligence, they merge back into the rajasika ahankara, which is technically called as, everybody knows the name, rajasika ahankara, vaikarika. No, taijasa. Vaikarika is refers to the ahankara in sattva-guna, taijasa is ahankara in rajoguna, tamas ahankara is ahankara in tamoguna. And then the mind, along with the devatas, they emanated from the ahankara in sattva-guna. So then they all merge into the mind, and the devatas, they merge back into the ahankara in sattva-guna. And then the total ahankara in sattva-guna, ahankara in rajoguna, ahankara in tamoguna, they merge back into the mahatattva. So in this way, he has described the aspect of Maya. 16th verse. You can repeat after me. Yesha Maya Bhagavata Sargastityanta Karini Trivarna Varnitasmabihi Kim Bhuya Shrotumichasi.
I have now described Maya, the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This illusory potency, consisting of three modes of material nature, is empowered by the Lord for the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material universe. Now, what more do you wish to hear?
1 minute. So, Yesha Maya Bhagavata Sargasthit Yantakarini. I have now described the Maya, the illusory potency of the Supreme Lord. Bhagavataha Maya. Sargasthiti Antakarini, which consists of the three modes of material nature and causes creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Sarga Sthiti Antakarini. Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reka. Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Bivarti Durga. Ichanu Rupam Apiyasya Chacheshadesa Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhaja. Trivarna Varnita Bihi. Varnita means it has been described by me. Trivarna means it is composed of the three modes. Varnita Asmabihi by me. Kim Bhuya Shrotumichasi. What more do you wish to hear? So by this question, Kim Bhuya Shrotumichasi. So Antariksha is actually suggesting to Nimi Maharaj that now you have heard about the Maya's influence. Now you must inquire about the process of getting out of the illusory potency. He's trying to arouse that inquisitiveness in Nimi Maharaj. What more do you wish to hear? So, of course, in the purport, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is giving the summary of the process of annihilation. It's exactly reverse to the process of creation, which I already described. And so the Maya is a three-colored energy: Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, and Tamo Guna. The Mahat Tattva arises from Maya. Mahat Tattva becomes the three types of false ego, and from the false ego in the Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, and Tamo Guna, different things come. From Tamo Guna false ego, the material elements come. From Rajo Guna false ego, the senses and the intelligence. From Sattva Guna false ego, mind and the presiding deities of the Devatas come. So this purport basically describes in summary the previous shlokas. So this is a form of avidya as understood from the second canto. Ritertam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyat atmano mayam yata baso yata tamaha. One should understand my Maya, by whose power real objects are perceived through Vidya and false objects are perceived through Avidya in relation to the self. Just as the light reveals objects and darkness hides them. So this verse is quoted in the purport. Computer screen has got high. Screen hand. Okay. So now, now in the 17th verse, Nimi Maharaj is asking the next question.
Prabhuji, one question. Avaranatmika Shakti, Prakshekatmika Shakti, this under where it comes? Under creation.
Avaranatmika Shakti is the covering potency. The Maya covers the living entity of its real position. Prakshekatmika Shakti is the throwing potency.
Creation phase.
Where it comes, you are asking. When the living entity is given a particular body based on his karma, that aspect is the Prakshekatmika Shakti. And the Avaranatmika Shakti, the Brahmaji initially creates 5 types of ignorance and then puts the living entities into those 5 types of ignorance. That is like the Avaranatmika Shakti.
One here, Pradhan is called Maya.
Pradhana?
It's called Maya. Maya or Pradhana is written.
Pradhana is the aspect material nature. Yeah, Maya is controlling the entire world through its three modes of nature. In the Pradhana, the three modes are in the state of equilibrium. And then from Pradhana comes the Ahankara. From Pradhana comes the Mahatattva. Mahatattva comes the Ahankara. From Ahankara and Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, different elements come.
Prabhuji, this Prachapatmika Sakti which you mentioned just now. So some people have good karma, then they will get good result. So how that is throwing potency? Means they will be enjoying the result.
From a transcendental perspective, even good karma, he gets maybe a good pious body, but is within the samsara. It's like somebody with better facilities in the prison house. He's put within the prison house only, so therefore it's a throwing potency.
Okay, or we generally understand like somebody is going hope after hope, hope against hope. Like she is calling by our Atmika, she attracts the living entity with some promise of material enjoyment, and then when living entity goes, then she slaps. So then we understand means like that.
Yeah, that's also true. Prakshekatmika Satri, the throwing potency, the living Maya puts the living entities in different situations. Even that, suppose a comfortable situation, Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita purport, the living entity feels happy in the situation. That feeling of happiness is because of the illusory potency. He becomes attached to the feeling of happiness. Feeling of happiness is the greatest enemy of the living entity because he feels that comfortable there. So, by the Prakshekatmika Sakti, whether the Maya throws the living entity into a comfortable situation or the uncomfortable situation, but both are within the prison cell of the material world.
Prabhuji, this Sri Chaitanya Prabhu wanted to ask the question that Lord Shiva wanting to see Mohini Murti is idle curiosity or?
From a transcendental perspective, Lord Shiva wanting to see Mohini Murti, from a transcendental perspective, through that pastime, the Lord's glory is established. Vishnu's glory, that Vishnu could even bewilder Lord Shiva, that is established. From a human perspective, we can learn the lesson. It is idle curiosity. If we see in the Bhagavatam, when we see the shloka, actual shloka in the Bhagavatam, it's the 8th canto. In that, Lord Shiva going after the Mohini Murti and then getting attracted to Mohini Murti, how it is described in the Bhagavatam, I just want to point out one particular aspect in the Bhagavatam. It is described in 8th canto, 12th chapter, 31st shloka. There it is explained that Tasyasau Padavim Rudro Vishnor Adbhuta Karmanaha Pratyapadyata Kamena Vairina Iva Vinirjitaha. Vairina Iva. The word Iva is important. As if harassed by an enemy in the form of lusty desires, Lord Shiva followed the path of Lord Vishnu, who acts very wonderfully and who had taken the form of Mohini. The word Iva means as if. As if harassed by an enemy in the form of lusty desires. So Vishwanath Chakravarti writes in that purport, 8.12.21, Iva iti utpreksha jyotakam. The word Iva is often used to indicate the utpreksha alankara. Utpreksha alankara. Vastutastu Bhagavataiva vinirjita ityartha. The term Iva in this verse means it denotes utpreksha alankara, that means conjecture. Shiva acted as if he was defeated by lust, whereas in actuality he was conquered by Bhagavan, not by lust. This is the comment of the Acharya. He was conquered by Bhagavan and not by lust. But it appeared as if that he was conquered by lust. So from the Daiva perspective, from a transcendental perspective, the whole pastime is Lord Shiva wanted to demonstrate that how he wanted to be conquered, that how he is also conquered by Vishnu. So therefore, his desire to see Mohini Murti, from that point of view, it is not idle curiosity. But yeah, from a lesson, from for a conditioned soul point of view, that Lord Shiva wanted to see that Mohini Murti. It's also, I think, written in the purport. Lord Shiva felt that even the demigods did not get agitated by seeing the form of Mohini Murti. I am the leader of the demigods, so I will not get affected. So he wanted to see, and then he got distracted. So from our point of view, the lesson is idle curiosity. Like some things we don't need to know, or we don't need to suppose. Sometimes certain sannyasis or preachers, they go to abroad. They cannot go in devotee clothes. They have to travel in certain karmi clothes for preaching. Suppose somebody wants to, I want to see that devotee in pant shirt. Like, I want to see. So it's an idle curiosity. It's of no use actually. Many things may be discussed in the ISKCON world, some GBC meeting or different other this one. They will not have practically any immediate relevance to us. It's not that by knowing that information, your chanting taste is going to increase or something like that. Sometimes we want to know, I want to know details of the meeting, all the details of that meeting. Sometimes it's an ideal curiosity. So Lord Shiva's this one, ultimately it is the pastime of the Lord. Lord Shiva wanted to demonstrate that how he is conquered by Vishnu. He wanted to establish the superiority of Vishnu. That's how also it is described in Chaitanya Bhagavata. But the lesson we can take from our level, idle curiosity.
Samarpan Gopru, I want to ask question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam, Prabhuji. Just, am I audible, Prabhu?
Hari bol.
Hare-
Haan.
Yes, Prabhuji. Dandot, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I just wanted to clarify that Lord Shiva, what form he saw was like internal energy. Is it means I just wanted to confirm that was it that's how he got attracted? It was not the form which was like shown to the demons. Was
It's
it
the form of the internal energy only.
internal energy?
Yes, I don't distinctly remember hearing it's a form of the external energy.
Yes, I also not, I will try to make it sure. I also had heard or read. And secondly, about this Prakshepatmika and Avaranatmika, what I remember reading is that this Avidya is Avaranatmika and Asmita is, and onwards is all Prakshepatmika. Asmita, Rag, Dvesh are the children of Asmita only, and then Abhinivesh is the absorption. So is that correct? Because it's
That
directly.
also makes sense.
Yeah, because I think
Avidya,
Vishwanath.
Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha. Out of that, the
Yeah.
Avidya is the Avaranatmika Shakti of Maya.
Yes.
The other four
Yes.
are the Prakshepatmika.
Yes, bro. That's what it's correct. No? I heard that. Yes. That's what I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, one more question. Durga Devi takes birth as a daughter of Yashoda, and she is Mahamaya. And the Subhadra is also called as Maya. So she is a Yoga Maya.
So Yogamaya takes birth as Yashoda's daughter, but to Kamsa she exhibits the form of her counterpart Durga. Yogamaya's counterpart is Mahamaya. Mahamaya's form is Durga. Because Krishna orders Yogamaya to transfer Balaram from Devaki's Garbha to Rohini's Garbha. And then here Krishna also tells her to take birth to the daughter of Yashoda. But when she comes to, when that girl child is exchanged, and Kamsa decides to kill, but she exhibits the form of Durga. Subhadra is the daughter of Vasudeva and Devaki. Subhadra is also the Durga's form only, sister of Krishna. Another form. Durga is playing the
Odisha,
official role.
Many people ask about Subhadra Devi.
Huh.
That's why it is.
Durga is playing the official role in relation to this world. Subhadra Devi is just the original form. The original form, and Subhadra is engaged in the pastimes of Krishna and Balram. The sister of Krishna and Balram.
Prabhuji, in Jagannath temple also, like Subhadra Maharani is sitting with Lord Jagannath, and then Bimla Devi is sitting outside. So the prasadam goes from Jagannath to Bimla.
Yes.
And Yashoda, already Yogamaya is sitting. Means I mean to say, then why two times? If both are same, then.
That's a practice there. The Jagannath altar, it's a part of the spiritual world. Bimla Devi, she is playing the role, the Durga is playing the role in the material world. Shakti Tattva. Shakti Tattva has various forms. Every form is playing a particular role. Okay, we'll proceed ahead. 17th shloka. Shri Rajovacha Yataitam Aishwarim Mayam Dustaram Akritatmabhihi Tarantyanjasthula Diyo Maharsha Idamuchyatam.
King Nimi said, O great sage, please explain how even a foolish materialist can easily cross over the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord, which is always insurmountable for those who are not self-controlled.
Sthula Diya. Sthula Diya means somebody who has a very gross intelligence or whose intelligence is dulled by material attachment. Sthula Diya, or one who identifies with the gross body and who is unable to analyze the subtle laws of nature. Or Sthula Diya refers to pious people only attached to the rituals of the Karma Kanda rituals. Such people who are having gross intelligence are materialistic. It could be on a pious materialist or a sinful materialist. And akritatmabi means those who are not self-controlled. Or akritatmabi indicates one whose life is empty. Krita means purna, akrita means apurna. So that means akritatma means those who are not self. When a person feels apurna, incompleteness, then one is always constantly on the lookout to enjoy different objects. So such people, how they can easily overcome the illusory energy. Anjahat taranti. And what is this nature of the illusory energy? Dustaram mayam, which is insurmountable. How they can easily overcome. So it's a very important question. And so Nimi, when Nimi Maharaj is speaking to this Navayogendras, in that assembly, there were also many people who were attached to Karma Kanda, they were also present there. So Vishwanath Chakotipad says that he is asking this question for the sake of others who are attached to fruitive activities. He is asking this question while glancing towards the karmis present there. The karmis, they were thinking that they were very learned people. They were present in the assembly. So king is asking this question for the sake of them. So the Stula Diya, gross intelligence, for example, in Krishna Leela, Dhenukasura represents somebody who lacks subtle intelligence. Saragrahi and Bharavahi. Dhenukasur, he thought that this Talavan belongs to me. He himself was not enjoying and he was not allowing such a great fortunate opportunity that Krishna and Balram are on their own, they are coming to enjoy those fruits. But he thought that this is my property, I will not allow him to enjoy. Such a gross intelligence. On the other hand, subtle intelligence, we see Govinda. Mahaprabhu was lying down, and in order to massage Mahaprabhu, he crossed Mahaprabhu's body and then went on the other side, massage Mahaprabhu's body. And then after a long time, when Mahaprabhu woke up, you crossed my body to massage me, then why didn't you cross my body to go and take prasadam? So that time Govinda remained silent. For your service, I can break the rule. But for my sense gratification, I cannot cross your body. So subtle intelligence means a person understands that the essence, Saragrahi. Bharavahi refers to the gross intelligence. Apparently, a person has, he's carrying so much of information, but which is of no use because he doesn't understand the science. He doesn't understand the essence. One who carries a lot of knowledge is like a pillar in the library. The pillar carries a lot of load but does not experience the change or transformation. So, Stula Diya. So, also Stula Diya also refers to Mandadi, or one whose intelligence is crippled by a lack of broad experience. So, King Nimi is asking that how can such a crippled people cross over Maya in the easiest way possible? Shri Prabuddha Uvacha Karmanyarabhamananam Dukkahatyai Sukaya Cha Pashyet Paka Viparyasam Mituni Charinam Rinam.
Prabuddha said, accepting the roles of male and female in human society, the conditioned souls unite in sexual relationships. Thus, they constantly make material endeavors to eliminate their unhappiness and unlimitedly increase their pleasure. But one should see that they inevitably achieve exactly the opposite result.
In 3 shlokas, Prabuddha is saying that how the karmis do not cross Maya at all. One should see with determination. So people desire to get happiness and destroy sorrow by mituni charinam, by sensual activities, but they get exactly opposite results. Paka vipariyasam. Exactly similar shloka, similar meaning shloka was given by Avadut Brahmana to Prahlad. Avadut Brahmana said that Tatrapi Dampatinam cha Sukayanya Panuttaye Karmani Kurvatam Drishtya Nivrittosmi Viparyayam. In this human form of life, men and women unite for sensual pleasure, but by actual experience, we have observed that none of them are happy. Therefore, seeing the contrary results, I have stopped taking part in materialistic activities. Or similar question was asked by Vizura to Maitreya, Sukaya Karmani Karoti Loko, Natai Sukam Vanya Duparamamba. So we see that without the mercy of a pure devotee, it is exceedingly difficult to free oneself from the bodily concept of life, which is the illusory basis of sexual interaction. Nityartidena vittena durlabhenatma mrityuna grihapatyapa pashubhihi kapriti saditaischalaihi.
Wealth is a perpetual source of distress. It is most difficult to acquire, and it is virtual death for the soul. What satisfaction does one actually gain from his wealth? Similarly, how can one gain ultimate or permanent happiness from one's so-called home, children, relatives, and domestic animals, which are all maintained by one's hard-earned money?
So, especially 3 words, very strong shloka. Nitya Artidena. It gives a perpetual distress. Durlabena, very difficult to earn wealth. And Atma Mrityuna, it is a death for the soul. 3 words are used to describe, used as an adjective for Vittena. So what happiness can be attained by wealth, which has these 3 characteristics? And then he says, Griha Patya Apatya Pashubhihi. So how can a person buy the house or the children or different animals or vehicles? From that, how can a person get lasting happiness? Because they are all temporary. Chalaihi. So Bhagavatam, one of the constant theme of the Srimad Bhagavatam is that Adi Madhyavasaneshu Vairagyakyana Samyutam. The beginning, middle and end, Bhagavatam contains stories which inspires Vairagya. And of course, the main thing is the Krishna Leela. But that is the mood of Mahaprabhu. Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yogam, Shikshartameka Purusha Purana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradari. The last line. Kripam Buddhir Yastam Aham Prapadya. Something like that. So Vairagya Vidya and Nija Bhakti Yoga. So similarly, Bhagavatam's mood is that Bhagavatam contains Hari Leela, which is taken pleasure by the devotees, and Bhagavatam contains stories or statements which actually inspire detachment. In that way, the wealth is, like, for example, in contrast, I will quote another shloka. This is from Bhartrihari's Niti Shataka. So in that there are 10 shlokas about the importance of wealth. On a practical level, wealth is needed even for running an institution. Like we plan so much for Krishna's service. For any devotees also, in order to run the family, they need wealth. But when Krishna is made in the center, then the whole effort becomes spiritualized. So in the Chanakya's Arthashastra begins with what? Sukhasya moolam dharma. The basis of sukha is the performance of dharma. The next statement is that dharmasya moolam artha. To practice dharma, and practically you need wealth also. So for the Bhartrhari says in his Niti Shataka, Jatir yatu rasatalam gunaganais tatrapyato gamyatam Sheelam shailatatat patat abhijana sandakyatam vakhnina shaurye vairini vajramashu nipatat vartostu na kevalam yenaikena vina gunas trinalava praya samasta ime. Jati, let the high caste go to the Rasatala Loka. Guna Ganaihi, let the host of good qualities Ado Api Ado Gamyatam, let it go even lower than Rasatala Loka. Even worse fate. Sheelam Shailatatat Patatu, let all the good manners fall down from the mountain. Shailatatat patatu. Abhijanaha sandakyatam vakhnina. Let the kinsmen be burnt by fire. Shaurye vairini vajramashu nipatatu. Let a thunderbolt soon fall over the chivalry. And then finally he says that Arthaha astu naha kevalam. Wealth alone. He says that our riches are wealth alone. Without the wealth, all these good things are no better than a bit of straw. Yenaikena vina gunas trinalava praya samasta ime. So Bhagavatam is using the word Nitya Artidena Durlabena Atma Mrityuna. So from a transcendental perspective, Bhagavata Dharma perspective, Bhagavatam is speaking the wealth. The other Shastras, when we talk about Dharma Shastra, Artha Shastra, they tell about the practical importance of wealth. So the Shukracharya was speaking from that perspective. Wealth should be divided. Shastras say it should be divided in one portion for religion, one portion for reputation, one portion for relatives, one portion for your own comfort, like that. Five portions should be divided. But he is going to take away all your wealth. So you are going to give charity against the Shastra's injunction. So Shukracharya was seeing from the Artha Shastra, Dharma Shastra point of view. Bhagavatam is speaking from a so we have to bring Krishna into the center. Bhagavatam speaks about say Bhagavatam says in one place that the family members are like the robbers, like that. Bhagavatam is described. So it appears that means we are in a very great dangerous situation. That means closest people are like robbers, means it's a very dangerous situation. It may appear like that. But therefore, the mood of service attitude to Krishna, when you bring that aspect, you try to bring the service attitude to Krishna, then the what may appear to be the unfavorable situation, that can also be turned into a favorable situation. Like Prabhupada says one place that the modern industrial jobs, industries, they produce objects which we don't require. Artificial necessities are created and then industries produce those items. They say it is basically job in Tamoguna, like that Prabhupada says. But practically speaking, most devotees are also, we are working in the industry only. So then the same Prabhupada also says the same purport. But nevertheless, if we try to bring that I am the servant of Krishna, when we try to bring that aspect, the central aspect of our life, then even if we are there in that tamoguna job, as a ugra karma job, then we will try to think in terms of how I can utilize this situation in Krishna's service. Therefore, that is becomes the core. Next shloka. Evam lokam param vidyan nashwaram karma nirmitam satulyatishayadvamsam yata mandala vartinam.
One cannot find permanent happiness even on the heavenly planets, which one can attain in the next life by ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices. Even in material heaven, the living entity is disturbed by rivalry with his equals and envy of those superior to him. And since one's residence in heaven is finished with the exhausting of pious fruitive activities, the denizens of heaven are afflicted by fear, anticipating the destruction of their heavenly life. Thus, they resemble kings who, though enviously admired by ordinary citizens, are constantly harassed by enemy kings and who therefore never attain actual happiness.
So, in this shloka, Prabuddha is saying that how when a person goes to heavenly planets also, one cannot get permanent happiness. Evam lokam param vidyan nashwaram karma nirmitam. Objects of this world and the next produced by karma, satulya atishaya dvamsam, they are temporary. Yata mandala vartinam, just like the existence of the kings who compete with equals, are envy superiors and lament because of defeat. That means even when a person goes to the heavenly planets, although in the devatas are predominantly in sattva guna, but even the heavenly planets are not completely free from envy or competition from others. Heavenly planets also they have. So this purport talks about temporary nature of the so-called higher status of life. So Chandogya Upanishad verse is quoted, Tad yateha karma chito loka kshiyate evam evamutra punya chito loka kshiyate. One present status of material pleasure will eventually be vanquished by time. Similarly, although by executing pious activities one is elevated to the higher status in the next life, that future situation will also be vanquished. So, if somebody may get a good body, beautiful body by good karma, or a bad body by bad karma, but in both cases the situation is flickering and temporary. So, although love of Krishna is the most exquisite ecstasy, surpassing by millions of times the most intense pleasure of the material universe, we foolishly break off our loving affairs with the Supreme Lord and artificially try to become independent enjoyers in the material atmosphere of self-delusion and false pride. So just like in this world, there is a competition of rat race. So even in the heavenly planet also, there is some competition from the equals. Minor kings may be enviously admired by ordinary citizens for their wealth. But such kings themselves constantly burn with jealousy, resentment, and fear due to rivalry and threat from other kings. Similarly, modern politicians are also constantly harassed by envy and fear. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur says that how the conditioned soul takes shelter of sexual relationships and thus surrender to the Lord, surrender to the hard labor of fruitive activities. So only enlightened people can understand the ultimate futility. So this verse says that to acquire wealth, one becomes practically killer of one's own soul. In the sense that like nowadays it has become so competitive. Most people, so when we get into the modern industries, and we have to constantly be equipping ourselves with the latest skills, and then overtime and extra time. For earning wealth, practically you lose your time. So in that sense, people don't have time to practice spirituality or think about spirituality. So it's practically equivalent to killing one's own soul. There is a doer tendency, so one cannot pursuing permanent material by such a temporary gratification, Maya induces the conditioned soul to wander throughout the material world, pursuing the relative rewards of material nature. Tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyadah. Real intelligent person will not look for anything to be achieved from Brahmaloka to the lowest planet. He will look for something permanent. So these three shlokas talk about how the karmis who are engaged in fruitive activities, they don't get happiness. So we see that even when a person goes to higher planets, even they are also not free from envy and competition from others. There is a verse which says that even in the in the sannyasi living in the forest alone, even such a sannyasi will also encounter three types of people. Munerapi vanastasya swani karmani kurvatah utpadyante trayapaksha mitrodasina shatravah. Even for a sage residing within a forest and engaged fully in his own duties without disturbing others, three types of people will definitely manifest: friend, neutrals, and enemies. Even for a sannyasi. So why people want to criticize others or compete with others? Because in Upanishads it is mentioned that one of the nature of any conditioned soul is that he wants to expand his influence. Expand his influence. This is prevalent in all aspects of life. Expand his influence. It could be a beggar want to expand his area of begging also, or a businessman wants to expand his area of business, or a politician who is a state level politician, he wants to increase this to national level, or somebody who is just a worker in a political party, he wants to get a MLA seat, or even in a spiritual, this one, we may want to expand, a preacher may want to expand his area of influence. If there are obstacles, okay, one wants to expand the area of influence through the social media or YouTube. Yeah, there may be definitely want to spread Krishna's message, and that way it is there. But still, if we see, we are all in the different stages of practicing bhakti. There is also the aspect of the human nature. Human nature, one wants to expand one's area of influence. And any person, when a person wants to expand his area of influence, then other people also want to expand their area of influence, and then they feel as a competition. Sometimes we may see in the spiritual circle also, oh, you cannot come preach here because there is a competition between two people who want to maintain or expand their area of influence. So in the one Subhashita says that Dakhyamana Sutivrena Nicha Parayashognina Ashaktas Tatpadam Gantum Tado Nintam Prakurvate. less intelligent people start burning in the brilliant fire of the success of other individuals, being unable to attain the same success themselves. Then they begin critiquing the successful ones. So therefore, this verse says that how even when a person goes to heavenly planets also, it is not temporary, one will feel the competition and envy from others. So 3 shlokas, Prabuddha is telling that how the path of fruitive activities, one does not achieve anything permanent. Next shloka, now he is coming to the point of how to come out of how to liberate oneself from the clutches of illusory energy. You can repeat after me. Tasmad gurum prapadyeta jigyasu shreya uttamam shabde parecha nishnatam brahman yupashamashrayam.
Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of the bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusion of the scripture by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material consideration, should be understood to be a bona fide spiritual masters.
So all these purports in these chapters, many of them are long purports. I'll cover some points, but I request you to go through the purports patiently, very profound points of the acharyas written. So tasmad gurum prapadyeta, one must approach a guru, an inquisitive person, jigyasuhu, jnatum icha, jigyasuhu shreya uttamam. He must be inquisitive about the shreya uttamam, about the highest goal. In the previous 2 shlokas, the futility of sense gratification in this world and also in the higher planets, both were spoken in the previous 2 shlokas. So having understood that, one must approach a guru for something higher than this. That is the shreya mentioned here. That is the shreya. And what is the nature of, so jigyashu shreya uttamam, these are the first 2 lines talks about with what mood a disciple should approach a guru. And what is the qualification of a guru? Shabde parecha nishnatam brahmani upasamashrayam. Shabde parecha nishnatam. He must be skillful in the scriptures and fixed in that realization. And upashamashrayam, while free of anger and greed. Nishnatam means skillful in understanding the meaning of the shastra, shabde. So, shabde parecha nishnatam, he must be deeply experienced in the scripture and also the practical understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, without scriptural knowledge and the practical realization of the Bhagavan, a so-called guru will be unable to dissipate the doubts of the disciples. We see 2 aspects: theoretical knowledge of the scriptures and also practical understanding of how to apply that knowledge to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Both are required. And upashamashrayam means one who has retired from the glittering illusions of material society, friendship and love. Upashamashrayam is the symptom of having such a quality. Shabde parecha nishnatam, the symptom of such a quality is upashamashrayam. So people are usually attracted to different intellectuals, politicians, businessmen, etc. But none of these have a permanent basis. So anyone can readily experience that he is not the body but consciousness. So the preliminary understanding of one's identity as consciousness is called self-realization. But beyond this elaborate knowledge is the elaborate subject matter of how the soul is transmigrating in 84 lakh species. So then it's explained that how a person undergoes Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. So any position in the prison house of the material world is ultimately is a punishment. Either it's a comfortable position is like suppose in prison cell, certain people are given special facilities with maybe with a AC room, with a mobile phone, with a TV. But even he is also within the prison house only. So the existence of higher and lower categories of material sense gratification does not explain the living entity's ultimate reward, which must constitute the natural antithesis of the punishment of material existence. Even the comfortable situation within the material world is also a punishment only. So a bona fide spiritual master is somebody who is expert in all these subject matters, difference between the body and soul, and he understands that any position in the material world is a punishment. A bona fide spiritual master is one who is expert not by personal imagination or speculation, but by mature understanding of the Shastra. So, and also, so the purpose of the duty of a guru is to awaken the disciple to the real understanding. Jiva jago, jiva jago. Just like the mother awakens the child, the spiritual master must awaken. And another point is mentioned is that the spiritual master must eradicate the doubts in the heart of a disciple. Bahavo guravo loke shishya vittapaharaka kvachittu tatra drishyante shishya chittapaharaka. There are many gurus in this world who can be seen, but who are interested in the wealth of the disciples. But there are very few gurus who are seen in this world who actually win the heart of the disciple by removing their doubts. Who conquer the heart of a disciple by removing their doubts. So, one who himself doubts the authority of Krishna or Vedic knowledge cannot become a bona fide guru. On the other hand, if a person knows the science of Krishna, irrespective of the background, can become a guru. So, and then he says that the duty of a guru is to connect the disciple to Krishna. A scholar or meditator has no potency to connect another living being with Krishna if that scholar or meditator himself is not connected with Krishna. So, sometimes there are yogis who perform very good yogasanas, and they may be appreciated by the people. But Krishna does not appreciate a yogi who performs great yogasanas, who performs simply great yogasanas. So the word of Krishna is Paramam Vachaha, Shrunume Paramam Vachaha. Or Krishna says that Jnanam Teham Savijnanam Idam Vakshyam Asheshatah Yagyatva Neha Buhonyot Jnatavyam Avashishyate. Now I will describe to you the Jnana and Vijnana, by knowing which there will be nothing further for you to be known. So a spiritual master is somebody who must possess this Raja Vidya, or the essence of pure devotional service. And if one does not become a lover of Krishna, his connection with Krishna takes place indirectly through the illusory potency of the Lord. The idea that one can attract the Supreme Lord through mere gymnastics or foolish speculation is certainly a product of Maya. So one who is connected to Krishna through his external illusory potency can serve only as a material master to connect his so-called disciples to the same illusory energy. If a person is connected only to the illusory energy, then he will connect the students only to the same illusory energy. So Mahatmanastu Mampartha Daivim Prakriti Mashritaha. Such a Mahatma is Durlabha. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. And such a great soul who has understood that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, such a great soul is one sense non-different from Krishna. That is what Narada told Prachina Barishad. Savai Priyatamaschatma Yatona Bayamanvapi Iti Veda Savai Vidwan Yo Vidwan Sa Gurur Harihi. Yo Vidwan Sa Gurur Harihi. One who is actually a bona fide Guru is non-different from Krishna. That is why Acharya Mam Vijaniyan Navamanyeta Karihichit. That verse is also quoted. So Guru must destroy the doubts of the disciples, and the Guru must also give higher taste to the disciple, otherwise the disciple will become attracted to sense gratification. So if we see, the position of a Guru in one sense is a attractive role. Because the disciples under him or the students under him, they want to serve him, they give different gifts or money. It's an attractive role. But the qualification for the Guru is something very high, because to handle that respect and adoration, unless a person has the qualification, he can fall from that. Therefore, Rupa Goswami, when he begins the Upadeshamrita, he begins with Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jihva Vegam, Udara Upastha Vegam, Yetan Vegan Yo Vishaheta Dira, Sarvam Apimam Prithivim Shishyat. One who has tolerated these 6 urges, he may be qualified to become, he is qualified to become the Guru. In that verse also, Prabhupada says that he is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So verse says that Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jihva Vegam, Uttaropestha Vegam, Etan Vegan Yo Vishaheta Dira, Sarvam Apimam Prithivimsa Shishyat. Shishyat is the verb there, Kriya Pada. And the Shishyat is also, it is not mentioned that such a person must make disciples. The word Shishyat, when we go to the Sanskrit Vyakarana aspect, it has various shades of meaning, but the word Shishyat in that shloka, it is used in the sense of Kamachara. That means such a person who has that qualification of controlling the 6 urges, he is requested to do something, and whether they do it or not, it is up to the individual. It means like he is told to, he can either make disciples or not make disciples. That is up to the individual. That is why Prabhupada translates as such a person is qualified to make disciples. He is not saying that such a person must make disciples. Because such a person must make disciples, that may not be, sometimes it may not be possible, because the person, okay, now we are in the online world. Usually everything previously it was local. Maybe the person, suppose such a person was conquered the 6 urges, but around him, it could be possible that nobody is ready to take his instruction. And the Shastra says that you must instruct only when somebody is eager to take the instruction. So then if you tell that person, when nobody is there to ready to take the instruction, if you say you must give instruction, you must make disciple, then he will have to break another injunction of the Shastra. Therefore, the word Shishyat, it is the Vidhilinga. Vidhilinga is a particular form of the Sanskrit verb. But that Vidhilinga also comes in many different shades. Vidhi, Nimantrana, Amantrana, Adishta, Samprashna, Prarthaneshuling. There are in 6 shades of meaning it comes. But in this shloka, the meaning which comes is that Kamachara. He is that a person who is requested to do something, whether they do it or not, it is up to the individual. So we see that the position of a guru is a very attractive position. It is one gets influence. People, many people, they want to become, say, teacher or it could be in different fields. And now the medium of social media, YouTube is there because it has created easier facility to influence people. But Rupa Goswami is giving a very deep instruction that one who has controlled or one who has tolerated these 6 urges, only he can qualify to make disciples. So, therefore, Upashamashrayam, Vishnu Chakotipat says that Krodha Lobad Avashi Bhutam. A bona fide guru cannot be under the control of ordinary anger, greed, and lust. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions Shabde Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyashu Shreya Uttamam. So he says that the 2 previous shloka, the futility of earthly and heavenly sense gratification has been described. Now the natural conclusion is that one who has understood this should approach a bona fide guru. And then he says that bona fide guru is somebody who transmits the news from the spiritual world to the people of this world. Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. So the spiritual master also transmits to the disciple the holy name of Krishna, which is non-different from Krishna himself. So when after accepting a guru, it is warned that one should not maintain the material attachments to the path of karma and jnana. After accepting a guru. So, but if a serious student surrenders to a bona fide guru, there is absolutely no impediment to the transmission of perfect knowledge and the bliss and devotional service of the Lord. So we see that many, sometimes people may say, Prabhupada lives in his books. So we can accept Prabhupada as a guru through his books only. But in the Shastra, there is only one place it is mentioned that one can accept the book as the guru. Where it is mentioned in a Devi Rahasya. Adikshita Upadhyaya Vihina Shakti Bhaktiman Guror Abhave Deveshi Pustakam Guru Racharet. In the absence of all the gurus, suppose in the absence of all the gurus means the whole planet Earth, or suppose you have, you don't have visa outside India, you can travel within India. Suppose within India, within the 140 crore people, if there is not a single bona fide guru present, then a person who has not undergone initiation, but who is enthusiastic and devoted, then he can use the book as the guru. But suppose out of the 140 crore people, or say maybe little more, you can't travel to Assam and I'll find out. At least within Maharashtra, out of whatever so many crores of people, if there is some even one bona fide guru present, but if a person has not accepted that guru, then if he is still using only book as the guru, then he will be committing an offense to Shiva. That is what Lord Shiva says in the next shloka. Yadi kaschid bhave devi gurus tantra vichakshana dikshita shiva mantrena vaishnava shuva lakshana tam parityajya yo devi parabhaktopi bhaktiman pustakam tu gurum kuryat sabhavet shiva gatakah. Such a person becomes certainly offender to myself. So we already 2:07. Okay. So these are all very important shloka. We have. I'll just cover this 22nd and then we'll end. I wanted to cover till 240 pages, but so 22nd shloka, just briefly I will cover. 22nd shloka, 22nd to 32. Then he describes about the activities of the bona fide disciple. Tatra bhagavatan dharman shikshet guru atma daivatah amayayanu vrityayais tushyed atmatmado harihi. We'll take this tomorrow only. 22nd will begin tomorrow.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Prabhuji, this last portion which you said that considering book as a guru. So how it is contextual here means in our contemporary times it's because everyone is having a guru. And but we are reading from Prabhupada books only. So and Prabhupada also said that's the book for 10,000 years. So
no, it's not that in the sense that we don't read the book. That quote which I mentioned is that using only the book as the guru. Because when you go to the person guru is he speaks from the book only. He is a bona fide guru, then he has to speak the Shastra. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Any Guru or Sadhu, he is bona fide when he speaks from the Shastra. The Shastra is the integral part. But neglecting the person, only taking from the book, that is not recommended. And accepting only the person and not the teachings. Sometimes it's possible one can be sentimentally attached to the person, but he may not be interested in the teachings of the person, which is speaking from the Shastra. That is also not conducive. Therefore, balanced approach of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. That balanced approach is only mentioned.
Prabhuji, tomorrow can you tell actually tomorrow means we know mota we know that guru's qualification this thing that thing, but here it's mentioned that one should be skillful in understanding the shastras. So some more detail if you can just tell.
Okay. I will discuss tomorrow.
And this also may apply to like Ritvikism also, means because they are not accepting a personal guru. They are accepting again not book but guru who has been not there now. So that applies to same thing, Ritvikism also.
Yes. They accept the parampara from Brahma till Prabhupada. But they say after Prabhupada, we don't need to. Okay, they recognize, at least right now, they say that we respect your system which you are following, but also accommodate our system, like that they're saying. Previously, they told your system is wrong. I think now at least they say, okay, we respect your system also, but also accommodate our system. But then such kind of this is not seen anywhere in the practice. Neither in the Shastra it is mentioned, nor such kind of system is shown by any sampradaya, any Vedic sampradaya. We'll discuss more tomorrow. Anybody else has any questions, or anybody wants to share any comments?
Oh, that shloka which you quoted, na, about Guru.
Huh.
That shloka.
Which shloka?
In your note here, if you go up, Prabhuji, you could not note it down. More up.
Devi Rahasya.
No, this is done. David has, more up. This also. No, above that. One shloka was there.
Ahavo Guravo Loki.
Bhavo Gaurava Loka. This is from where, Prabhuji?
This is Subhashita. Bhagavo Guravo Loke Shishya Vittapaharaka Kvachittu Tatra Drishyante Shishya Chittapaharaka. Prabhupada talks about the concept in one purport. Shukracharya was a Smarta Brahmana, therefore he was interested in the monetary benefit from the Bali Maharaj. Whereas a Vaishnava Guru is interested in the deliverance of a disciple.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay. Shall we end here?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will continue tomorrow. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Every time I go through, sometimes some other points I try to add in that. Today was